Hi, good morning, folks. Welcome to the Early Bird Report of last night's playoff games. Let's take a look at the new developments coming up. All right, guys, I want to get on this. I got to get about my day, and we'll go over the 4 games last night. Some interesting developments, as I was just saying. I was pretty impressed with certain games, and certain games were just blowouts. So, I mean, that is the playoffs. We're going to have those exciting games like that Rangers-Penguins game 1 where triple overtime, then you got a 6-0 game where you just got to sit through and try to make sense of it. It's a strange time of the year, but I love the playoffs. So, okay, let's get right into it, guys, because I do want to get on this video. I want to get this out. I got to get out of here. So let's get on it right away. Let's look at the first game, which is Carolina and Boston. Here we go. Shetkov helps Hurricanes top Bruins in game number 2, extend series lead. Makes 30 saves and relief after Raanta injured in the first period in Eastern first round. And let's look at the stats. And as we can see, the shots on goal, 38-34. Face-offs for 45% Boston, 55% for the Hurricanes. Look at all these power plays, folks. 1 for 5 for Boston on the power play, 2 for 9 for the Hurricanes. You could see the Hurricanes got into their head, 9 power plays. 45 hits for the Bruins, 33 hits for the Hurricanes. 10 blocks for the Bruins, 12 for the Hurricanes, and 7 giveaways Boston, 12 giveaways Carolina. Let's look at the shot total. First period, 11-10 Carolina. Second period, 14-11 Carolina. And third period, 17-9 for the Bruins. Total for the game, once again, 38-34. So Boston tried to make a push. And you know what, folks, what I seen in this game, as you can see in the hits there, Boston came with their game. They did. They came with their hard, physical game, but Boston also were playing a little dirty at certain points, and it woke Carolina up. When they hit the goalie, when Pastrnak hit the goalie early in the game, I thought that woke up the Hurricanes, and from that point on, the Hurricanes really just took over. Raanta, got nailed early in the game for those of you that didn't know, and he had to leave after around 8 minutes in. But in this game, if I was a Bruin, I'd be concerned about Allmark's goaltending at this point. You know, I'm not really surprised as a Sabre fan that Allmark is not looking like a $5 million, $6 million goalie, $5 million goalie. He just, so far, we'll see. We'll see what he does when he goes back home, but the Bruins are in a hole. It's going to be hard to get out of. To beat this Hurricane team now 4 out of 5 times is going to be rough, but they do have 3 of the next 4 at home. So Boston will have to bank on winning all their home games just to get back into this series and have a shot. Okay, let's move along. Toronto, Tampa. Let's take a look at it. Here we go. Hedman helps Lightning bounce back, defeat Maple Leafs in Game 2. Defenseman has goal, 3 assists for Tampa, which evens Eastern Final first round series. And let's take a look at the stats. You can see shots in the game were even, 34 apiece. The faceoffs, the Maple Leafs had the edge, 55-45 for Tampa. Here's the key of the game right there, folks. Power play, 3 for 7. Tampa was. Toronto was 0 for 4. Hits in the game, 39-36 in favor of Tampa. Tampa had 17 blocks. Toronto had 8. And Tampa had 6 giveaways, and Toronto had 8. And the shots. First period, Toronto had 13 shots, Tampa 9. Then Tampa outshot the Leafs in the second, 14-8. And the Leafs outshot Tampa in the third, 13-11. To equal that, of course, once again at 34 apiece. Toronto tried to make a push, just to no avail. So it was that kind of, it really was that kind of game. Toronto did make a little push at the end. the thing is, when a team like Tampa has you 5-1 in the third, you're not coming back. I don't care what playoff game you're in, you're not coming back. Toronto, they didn't look too bad at points, but again, Toronto's goaltending was kind of my worry going into this series for them. And I know Campbell's looked okay, but it's early, and it looks like maybe Toronto's goaltending might be struggling from this from here on in. We'll have to see. It's we're early in this playoffs, so we'll have to see. Moving along. Here we go, guys. Third game of the night. This one, we're looking at St. Louis and Mini. Here we go. Kaprizov gets hat trick. Wild defeat Blues in game number 2. Eriksson Ek scores twice for Mini, which evens Western first round series. And we'll look at the numbers. Okay, so 34-28 shots on goal for St. Louis, 51-49% on the faceoffs, very even there. 1 for 5 on the power play for the Blues, 2 for 3 for the Wild. The hits in the game, 39-21 for St. Louis, 10 blocks for the Blues, 20 for the Wild. And the giveaway, St. Louis had 4, and Minnesota had 6. And we'll look at the shots here. In the first period, 10-7 St. Louis. And in the second period, 15-11 St. Louis. So, St. Louis, after 2 periods, were out shooting them 25-18. I'm going to touch on that in a sec. And in the third period, the shots were 10-9 for Minnesota. Total in the game, 34-28 for St. Louis. And yes, the Blues really surprised me with their physical game. But mind you, this was a chase game and a frustration game. And I think if the Blues would come out hitting like this earlier in this game, maybe it would have been a little different, maybe. I think the speed of the Minnesota yesterday, guys, I just believe was way too much for them, really. I mean, Minnesota looked really good in this game. They looked like a team that was desperate to win, that had to win, that lost the first home game, like a team does in the playoffs. It's hard to go into any building in this day and age and win both games. It is. Nobody was able to do it. So, Carolina won the first 2, but they won at home. That's different. They'll be happy going into Boston to split when they go there. So right now, I'd say Minnesota's in a good position. They just got to go into St. Louis and split. And then we got a best of 3 all of a sudden. Now, the blowout of the night. Here we go. LA and Edmonton. Okay, Smith makes 30 saves. Oilers rebound to shut out Kings in game number 2. Kane has 2 goals, assists for Edmonton, which evens Western first round series. Let me get to the stats. Okay, the shots on goal, 36-30 for Edmonton. The faceoffs, 56-44 in favor of Edmonton. The Kings were 0 for 4 on the power play. The Oilers were 2 for 4. And that's what I'd said earlier on in the series was you don't give Edmonton any chances on the power play or forget it. Good hitting affair, 46 hits for the Kings, 48 for the Oilers. 17 blocks for the Kings, 10 for the Oilers, and 8 giveaways apiece. And the shots on goal. In the first period, 14-12 for LA. In the second period, the Oilers take over, 19-9 for the Oilers. And a quiet third in shots, 7-5 for the Kings, 30 for the Kings again, and 36 for the Oilers in the game. There's no real surprises yesterday. I kind of expected all these teams to win that one. I did. I expected Carolina to jump up 2-0. I expected Tampa to win, Minnesota to win, and Edmonton to win. So for me, I should have bet mise au jeu yesterday. I should have bet. But guys, in the playoffs, anything goes. Like Boston could all of a sudden just rally and win the next 4 games. It's the playoffs. There's no way to know. So I'll just close it up there, guys, because I've got to get about my day. But just on On a quick note, recapping these games, I would look at Carolina like so far in this series look like they're too much for Boston. They just do. And the truth is, Allmark's just not giving them the best goaltending. He looked good for the first half of game one. He's looked very human since then. And Boston tried everything to get under, the skin of Carolina, and the Hurricanes had nothing to do with it. They just had nothing to do with it. Really, they tried all their tactics and everything, and they could not get into the heads of Carolina. Carolina just kept coming at them. Boston got their hands full. I'd be surprised if Carolina doesn't split in Boston now and then wrap it up in 5. It's kind of, I think it's what I called before the series. I had just kind of how I seen that series going. But again, it's the playoffs. Toronto, no big surprise. Let's face it. I think the whole hockey world would have been surprised if Toronto would have went up 2-0. But they played better maybe than that score indicates, Toronto. They were still skating pretty darn good in that game. Mini, no surprise there. They looked much faster than St. Louis yesterday. I thought much faster in the game. That I could see. That Minnesota and St. Louis series right now wouldn't surprise me if that goes to Game 7 in overtime. And the Oilers bouncing back. No big shocker there, but LA. One thing I'll say in Quick's defense in that 6-0 game, 3 of those were redirected in on him, and 2 of them he really had no chance. So the 6 goals against Quick yesterday is a little misleading. It is. It's a little misleading. 3 were literally redirected in, off his player or whatever, it went in. It's not his fault. And 2 were just perfectly timed goals. So it's the playoffs, guys. That's it. The early bird is singing. All right, so we got to go. I got to go. Got to get out of here. Got to get about my day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you tonight.